It's crunchy walnuts today on Sugar. Hi, I'm Anna Olson, and I have some delicious walnut recipes to share with you today. A walnut fig brie tart. This gorgeous looking dessert is great to share with guests, especially if you want something not too sweet at the end of your meal. But when you do want that sweet kick, walnut chocolate brownies. Oh, full of chocolate goodness and those toasty walnuts. And I'm ready to get right into those. Now, I'll start with melted butter as my first ingredients that I've just put in the microwave. A full cup of it to be exact. Walk carefully here and dump that in the bowl. And now some cocoa powder. Now I have tried many, let me get my 1 cup measure here for the cocoa, brownie recipes. And I started making brownies with cocoa powder. And I thought, well, I'll try the ones with melted chocolate because, melted dark chocolate is so delicious. But I find I keep going back to the cocoa brownies. And I think it's the density and depth of flavor that you get from cocoa powder. And do need to sift that, get all those cocoa lumps out there. Cocoa always needs sifting. Now, have you ever tried eating cocoa powder all by itself? Ooh, it's a bitter bite. And this cocoa is alkalized, which means some of the acidity has been pulled out of it. So you get a milder taste to it, but it is still bitter until you add the sugar. And this does take a whole bunch of sugar. I'm just going to blend in the cocoa first, just sort of get it melted in there. There we go. See, now you're starting to recognize that color of brownies. I want a cup and 3/4 of sugar. Now, that is a lot of sugar. But that's what makes these so good. There we go. And just stir that in. The butter's still a little warm, so it's going to melt the sugar just a little bit. These are just great to whip up. If you have someone who needs a little treat after school, or it's fun to do with someone too. Browners are so appropriate for something like that. 4 eggs. I'm going to add 2 and then stir and then add 2. And walnuts are such a natural for brownies. I used to have black walnut trees in my backyard, and the tannins of the walnuts falling in the autumn would just about kill everything in my garden. Everything I hadn't killed already in my garden. I'm not a good gardener. Much better cook. 2 more eggs. Yeah, that was quite a large egg. Just a reminder that any recipe that you tend to see that calls for eggs, and if it doesn't specify, they're usually referring to large eggs. And stir that in. Yum, yum, yum. Vanilla extract. Now you could add almond extract, or if you wanted minted brownies, a peppermint extract. Wouldn't that be a nice little zip? Stir that in. And now for the dry ingredients, I'll take a cup and 1/4 of all-purpose flour. Now you'll notice I'm not sifting my dry ingredients for these brownies because I like that density. When I eat a brownie, everyone's got their personal preference, just like chocolate chip cookies. Some like them crispy, some like them chewy. I go for a brownie that's sort of got a little cakey fluff on the outside, but has that dense, fudgy middle. And that's what these brownies do. A teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Let's see, there we go. Just give it a quick stir to mix them up. And all in one shot, bam. So you can see how the ratio of flour to chocolate, there's a lot more chocolate in here than there is flour. And just gently stir this together. And that takes no time at all. And now, of course, to add the walnut. I have toasted these walnuts. It just, it makes an infinite amount of difference in the taste of your brownies. Just bringing out the toastiness in the oils of the walnuts you'll just know the difference right away. Now, if you were not to use walnuts, something like dried cherries would be delicious. I call those my Black Forest brownies. Now, I'll use the parchment paper here to lift up the walnuts and just scoop them in there. Ooh. You could put white chocolate chunks in your brownies, or just regular old chocolate chips, peanut butter chocolate chips, butterscotch chips. Brownies are one of those things that it's no rules, whatever you want. There, now doesn't that look spectacular? This is ready to go in the pan. I've put parchment on the bottom just so it's easier to pull out, and grease the sides. And in all this batter goes. And I like dense brownies, yes, but I also like brownies that are thick and tall. So I put this in an 8x8 pan. If you need to stretch it a little bit to feed a few more people, you can put them in a rectangle pan. Use the same recipe. I'll just spread this out. The cocoa powder likes to start absorbing the liquid from the melted butter and the egg, so you can just sort of spoon this around. There, and this is now ready to go in the oven. Give it a little shake, just level it. And, oh yeah, that's good. 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. What a great way to make the house smell good. And when they come out, I have some cooled here that I'm ready to slice up. They've come out of the pan. And definitely let them cool before you cut them. What I find is if you cut them while they're warm, you'll get that sort of toastiness as it cools cut. So I do let them chill a little bit. I'm going to trim off the edge and cut, let's see, a couple squares here. And then I'm ready to snack. There we go. And when I come back, I'm going to start on that walnut fig brie tart. But first, have a brownie.